their lives.
Nothing can compare. You're our living hope. Your presence, Lord. I've tasted and seen of the sweetest of love. When my heart becomes free and my shame is undone. Your presence, Lord. Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. Your glory, God, is what our heart longs for. To be overcome by your presence, Lord. Your presence, Lord. There's nothing worth more that would ever come close. Nothing can compare. You're our living hope. Your presence, Lord. And I've tasted and seen of the sweetest of love. And when my heart becomes free and my shame is undone, your presence, Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. Your glory, God, is what our hearts long for. To be overcome by your presence, Lord. Oh, Holy Spirit, you are welcome. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. Your glory, God, is what our hearts long for. To be overcome by your presence, Lord.
Hello, everybody. And welcome to another edition of the Lights 360 charts. Today's chart is going to be a very, very interesting and exciting one. I'm so excited to have this, the panel that we have today. Are people, seasoned individuals that they're going to be sharing from their experience. They're going to be sharing from their stories. And I believe that we all are we're going to learn a lot. It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful time. So welcome again to the Lights 360 chat. As I usually say at the beginning, the reason why we're doing this is just to have conversations that can brighten the lives of people and also to just spread more light. So many terrible things are happening around the world right now, have happened. And I think just sharing stories of people who are making a difference will be encouraging to everyone. And we thank God for all the other chats that we have had and how people, have responded, how they've been blessed by the stories of the people that have come on. So today, we are very privileged to have two wonderful, how do I call them? They are entrepreneurs, they are philanthropists, they are career people, they're just, well-rounded people. They're doing a lot and you're going to be hearing from their stories. So privileged to have here today two people who went through the Leading Lights training. And the Leading Lights training was, very pivotal to some of the things that they are doing right now. So we're going to be hearing more of that. So let me first of all introduce the MD. We must always defer to the doctors. because they are the one, they take care of us. So we have with us today Dr. Mobola Kukoyi. She's a medical doctor. She's an emergency, please correct me if I'm wrong, she's an emergency physician. So, God forbid that you have an emergency, but when somebody has an emergency, they're the people that come to meet you there and, start to deal with the issue. She has been, doing a lot during this corona virus season, apart from her work as a doctor, as one of the frontline soldiers. And we just want to applaud you for that, for everything you've been doing. Apart from that, she's been also taken to Instagram. And I've been watching some of her Instagram, Facebook, where she's been sharing and just clarifying things for a lot of people about how to handle different aspects of the coronavirus as things, were unfolding. So thank you for doing that. I was blessed. Apart from that, she's also one of the people that set up a group of medical doctors. It's called City Med, where a whole bunch of medical doctors come together and they just share and they talk and share ideas and encourage one another. It's one of the initiatives that she kicked off after the Leading Lights training. So Dr. Mobola Kukoyi, apart from that, she is also, I forgot to mention that, she's also the principal for the M. Kukoyi Foundation that is doing a lot of things in Africa and in this city, a very strong partner of the Life Development Center, also putting together this program. So let's welcome Dr. Mobola Kukoyi. Thank you for coming. So
thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. And then another wonderful, accomplished individual. She has been doing a lot, in the city of Chicago and beyond. So she came to the Leading Lights training some years, I think about 3 years or so, or 4 years. I don't, I know it was one of those past cohort, and she came in there, and our heart is women empowerment, like just empowering people, women, whatever stage of life they are, whether they are young or old, and she just wants to empower people so that they can live the maximized life that God has called them to live. And in doing that, she has been, doing a lot of things. First of all, she's in corporate America. She's a marketing executive professional who works with Ernst & Young. And apart from through that, she's leveraging that to actually touch a lot of people in the corporate world and beyond. So she organizes seminars, she organizes workshops and events meant to empower people. I can still remember one where she organized to pick up some inner city youth from Chicago, brought them into the Schaumburg area and did a whole day of programming with them that, those kids, I remember one of them left that. Interestingly, one of the kids that was there is one of the kids of one of the Leading Light USA person that just got bereaved of the son. But that kid is a very good close friend of mine now, the daughter. She says she wants to be the president of the United States. She was so inspired and everything. So she's the principal of the Agila Foundation. She brings professionals together. They talk and they encourage and inspire people. So please, let's welcome here today, Ayo Daunsi. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you. Thanks to both of you for, just separating this time. I know you guys are very busy. As doctors, you guys are busy on call. So in case you get a call, just just let us know, while we're doing this show. Hopefully there will be nobody calling at this time. So let's move on. So I want to welcome those of you joining us on Facebook. Thank you so much, and those who will join us on YouTube later. So thank you for watching this. So we're going to start quickly. First question, and I'm going to throw it first to Ayo. Who is Ayo? Just tell us a little bit about yourself. I've tried to introduce you as much as I can, but I think you can do it better than I did.
Yeah, so when I think about who I am, a lot of times we define ourselves by our career, but we're so much more than that. So I would say I'm a daughter, I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm a founder of the Agila Foundation. I'm an event marketer by profession. And I am someone that's just passionate about making an impact during my life. So that's me.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. And you have how many kids, you don't mind? Yep.
I have one. I have a daughter who's 8 years old.
Oh, awesome. Good.
Yeah.
Bryce, thank you. So Mobola, Dr. Mobola, or can I call you Mobola?
Yes, you may, Pastor Lad.
We have to respect our doctors, So Mobola, who is Mobola?
Well, Pastor Lad, you did a fantastic job. In addition to everything you said, I'm also a daughter. I'm actually the only girl in my family. I have 4 brothers. I have 13 nieces and nephews, one of which graduated high school today. So wow. Hi, Marisola, congratulations. Wow. One of my passions is just trying to make an impact pretty much in the healthcare sector of Africa, low resources. So that's kind of what I kind of want my career path to be, working here in the States, but really making an impact in low resource settings.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks to both of you. So my next question is, both of you at different times, you took the Leading Lights training. For those watching, if you don't know what the Leading Lights training is, it's a training organized by the Life Development Center right here in Chicago. It's a training that helps people to discover their purpose, learn how to maximize their lives, organize their lives, learn leadership principles, and initiate that purpose, implement it, take the first steps in implementing that purpose. So we usually organize it quarterly, and the Leading Lights training now has gone beyond Chicago. It's gone to 12 nations currently. So, and people who take the training, they become a part of the Leading Lights network. So we have a network of people internationally who are part of the Leading Lights training. So one of the dreams of the Life Development Center is actually to have to come to a time, and it's beginning to happen little by little, where people who are part of the Leading Lights network in different nations can collaborate together. Somebody needs to do something in Zambia, there's a Leading Light network person there, you link up and it's done. So that's what the Leading Lights training and network is. So they both participated in the training at different times. They were in different cohorts. So my question is, and Mobola, you're going to start this time around. What was the impact of the Leading Lights training on you? I mean, what's your perspective of your experience at the Leading Lights training?
I would say the Leading Lights training helped me. It kind of catapulted my goal. So prior to that, I was in residency. The foundation was kind of on the side, but the 3-day training really challenged me. Really went, what is your purpose in life? Like Aya said, you're beyond what you do. First of all, I'm like, how am I supposed to serve God? And so the Leading Lights training was also a reminder of that. And as Christians, we spiritualize a lot of things, and the Leading Lights training was about practical impact. You pray, you do all of that, but how do you practically impact your world? And so that was very important to me. And I learned a lot. I still refer to some of the leadership aspect. And for anybody that has not taken the course, it teaches you a lot. It teaches you about leadership, about administration. And you don't have to be Christian. It's something that organizations can benefit from. It teaches teamwork. It's a great 3-day course overall. I highly recommend it.
Thank you very much. And it's good that you mentioned the fact that it's not just for Christians, because we've had the Leading Lights training in nations where people who are participating, they come in with their hijab, Muslims, and at the end of the Leading Lights training, everybody's laughing. We're taking pictures. They're so excited. This has changed my life. We've had people from the military, business people, all kinds of people participating in it, because it's based on universal principles. Even though they are biblically derived, but they are applicable to anybody, whatever, because they are just universal principles. So thank you for saying that. So Ayo, how was Leading Lights for you?
Yeah, I would 100% say that it was a pivotal moment in my life. And I'll preface this by saying I was very hesitant to take the class because it was 3 days, 3 full days, I think like 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. each day. And so that alone was a little bit discouraging. But honestly, it was one of the best experiences in my life. And, it helped me kind of put a story together, things that I had been doing, things that I've been thinking about, really bringing that all together and allowing me to put a plan to move forward, which we've done through the Agila Foundation. So I would highly, highly recommend it. I had friends that had taken it prior to me, same experience. This was a life-changing moment or class. And I agree.
Thank you.
This is something we should all take.
Yeah, thank you. I know it's tough. So it's an intensive. So, one of the things I believe is that most people don't release their full potentials except they're in hot water. I said human beings are like tea bag. If you don't put them in hot water, their potentials will not come out. So usually I like to put myself in hot water. I like to put people in hot water too, because that's when the real thing, the real potential would ooze out, and we are able to now sweeten the world and do all that. So that's why it was designed to be very intensive, because sometimes, sometimes people just need to break something. Like you stay with something extensively, you break some things, you get out of some comfort zones. And that's why you will notice that when people take it, those who go through the process and, and all, they come out and they just go and do something that is sustained, that continues to be a blessing to people. So I'm so glad that, you guys took it. I saw when you guys took it and I saw the after effect, what you guys began to do. Can you tell us a little bit, Ayo, you start this time around. Tell us a little bit about your foundation, like what is about.
Yeah, so I took Leading Lights in 2017. It was either fall or winter of 2017. And again, it was a moment for me to reflect, think about my history, things that I had been involved in. Always been passionate about women and girl initiatives around diversity and inclusion. And so it allowed me to create my path going forward. And so that is how the Agila Foundation was born. And we have a mission to empower women and girls with a focus on leadership, innovation, and technology, but through a lens of passion, purpose, and paying it forward. And so when I think about my story as a first generation American, there's a lot of things that I didn't have access to, I didn't know about from an education standpoint. And so there's a lot of things that I can do now that I can pass on to the next generation so that they're in a better starting point than I was when I was their age. We focus on leadership, innovation, and technology because when we think about the future of work, those are all going to be elements that are going to be important. Leadership, regardless of where you find yourself, leadership is important. Innovation, really encouraging a growth mindset, and then technology. And I think with COVID-19, technology is we're recognizing how much technology is going to be important and crucial as we continue to press forward.
So how have you implemented that, like in Agila, like some of the things you have done?
Yeah, so a couple of things. We have two primary audiences, one for women, and it's really creating a community of purposeful individuals who have stories, who have experiences that wouldn't mind paying it forward, right? Or passing that information and knowledge down to our next generation of leaders. And then we have programs for girls. So we have something for girls in elementary and middle school, and then we have programs for girls in high school and college. The elementary and middle school, we're really just focusing on planting seeds of the different opportunities that are out there, especially when in corporate America, when you think about diversity and inclusion and a lot of the systemic issues, how can we start thinking about how we can give them a successful career or whatever they want to do, post education to be in a really good starting point. And then our women's circle, again, just really focusing on how we can make impact, right? Some people are entrepreneurs, some are corporate America, some will start a foundation like me, but regardless of where you are, there's some type of impact that you can make. And so we try to bring people together to do that.
I know you do some regular programming. Of course, everything has been disrupted by coronavirus, but when the world was still pre-corona, there were some things that some annual programs and things that you do. Can you talk about that? And if you can just tell us maybe just some stories, maybe a story or two of people who have participated.
Yeah, so In 2017, when I finished Leading Lights, I was telling a couple of friends, like, here's what I experienced, here's what I did, and then here is what are some ideas of what I have for next steps. And so I think it's important to recognize those that challenge you and encourage you to keep moving forward, right? Because there's one thing to actually take your class and have an idea. There's a whole nother element on executing it. So I had a friend that told me in January of 2018 that I had told her I wanted to have a women's conference in 2018. So in January, she's like, all right, let's just put it out there, put it on social media, tell the world that you're gonna be having something great in Chicago in the fall of 2018. And so that's really what got us started on the execution. And now, 2020, we have had two women's conferences and then one for International Women's Day. When we talk about paying it forward, we were able to have the Chief Diversity Officer from the McDonald's Corporation, Wendy Lewis, speak at our last year's conference. And our theme was pay it forward and how we can all use what we have to make an impact. Again, starting from an idea, the first year I had to fund it myself, to be honest. But then in 2019 was able to grow. We had partners, we had sponsors. And so it's really just taking ideas, starting, investing time, sometimes money, sometimes resources, and just continue to grow. I think it's been interesting because when I started, I wanted companies and organizations to sponsor, but they're like, who are you? Like, we don't know you. And, some people could get discouraged because of that. But one, I knew what God had planted in my heart. I knew the end goal, right? One of the things we did in Leading Lights was a vision board. And I have a picture of an audience full of people who will be attending the Agila conference, right? So it's not going to happen overnight, but small steps. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Very good. I noticed that you also you've partnered with some Leading Lights network people, because I see Betsy, Peju, some people that speak at your conference.
Yes.
That's been awesome.
Yeah. And we talked about that, partnerships in Leading Lights, and knowing where I have strengths and where other people have strengths, and how we can all work together to support different initiatives that we have.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. So Mobola, so tell us about, what you do as a medical doctor, and also about your foundation. You also started a foundation after the Leading Light. Maybe you could tell us, first of all, about the group you started for medical doctors, then talk about your work as a medical doctor, and then talk about the foundation. So
Absolutely. So after the Leading Lights training, we set up a WhatsApp group. So one of the visions of City Light is really having small groups, small groups where you can be intimate and grow with Christ, and which is amazing, right? Because when the church first started, that's how we met, in small groups. Mm-hmm. And so we, again, leveraging technology, we created a WhatsApp group where we had people interested in pre-health. So you didn't have to be a doctor, if you're a nurse, if you're a vet. So you could come together. We share resources on studying, we share resources on applications. Even like with this COVID pandemic, we had resources on possible job opportunities, because we know that a lot of people were affected. So it's been a really great group. Now, what I do, my goodness, as an ER doc, I call us jack of all trades, but master of resuscitation. So pretty much as an ER doc, you have 3 jobs. You want to identify any life-threatening disease. You want to kind of alleviate symptoms. So we do a lot of pain control, pain management, even if we don't know what's wrong, even if we don't identify your disease. And we also stabilize, we also resuscitate. So that's the main of emergency medicine. We want to stabilize you. And what is my foundation about? So it's 2-pronged. The first one is, so I'm passionate about resource limited settings. And the idea came in medical school. I did a year-long research in Ghana. And I was like, wow, they are making do with so little. And if you have friends that were trained in Africa, it's stellar education, but they're limited just based on the resources they had. And so when I came back to the States, I was like, how can I help out? And so that's how the foundation was birthed. And then after I took the Leading Lights class, I was challenged to go further. So the first aspect of my foundation is to optimize healthcare delivery in resource-limited settings. And as an ER doc, because I kind of dip my hands in a lot of specialties, it was perfect for me, emergency care. And so some of the projects we've done are, for example, in Ghana, it's the only emergency residency program in West Africa. So Nigeria, we've got to do better. And so, and when I went there, I went back there in residency. When people come in emergencies, you have to pay before treatment. And you can imagine going out of your house, you're not planning to be hit by a car, so when you're hit by a car and you come to the ER and then you have to pay pre-treatment, that's pretty heartbreaking. So I was like, how can I help? And so ultrasound, again, technology has been great. You can use at a bedside, you can diagnose a lot of pathology. So whether or not people have the money to get a chest x-ray, whether or not the x-ray is working, you have an ultrasound to use. So thankfully, I put out a fundraising, thankfully a lot of people contributed. And through that process, I found that people actually want to help. They may not know how to get started. They may not have the time. They may not know how to identify programs to donate to. And if people probably don't know that I'm an introvert, I seem like an extrovert, but the older I've gotten, the more.
You're an introvert?
Yeah, I know. People don't want to believe that, but just like putting myself out there, starting a page, asking for donations, that takes a lot from me, but people have been so encouraging. They're like, Mobola, we want to do this. So that was our very first global project, donating that to the residency program. And it's just been amazing. The second project we've done was actually this year with the COVID pandemic. And again, as an ER doctor, I'm a frontliner. It gave me like an advantage, to be like, what do we really need? And unfortunately, a lot of people were followed during this program. My friends in Africa were like, Mobola, we don't care about this shutdown. People are hungry. And so what I did was just mobilize my resources here. And then again, I found that people really do want to help. So we were able to raise $25.70, so $2,000, 500. We sent it to 4 organizations in Nigeria as they're doing great work. People are grateful. And so that's the first part of my organization, really helping optimize healthcare. The next project hopefully will be in Nigeria. We're trying to do teaching, CPR, just basic stuff, like how do you save a life, basic stuff. You don't have to be a doctor to save a life. So education is also capacity building. When we leave the country, do you leave them with knowledge? Can they do the work? And so that's a big thing, capacity building. The second part of my foundation, which hasn't grown yet, but eventually we'll get there, is really helping education of our youth. So when I came to the US, I was an international student, and I know the financial difficulties that we went through. And so like, how can I help somebody, go through that? So I found sponsoring just a very, very small scholarship at my undergrad. But the hope is to grow that larger because, you have people who want to attend college. I hope to partner with organizations. But like I said, that is just getting off the ground. And my prayer is that it becomes, it becomes bigger than what it is. So that's my story.
Okay. And your foundation partners with the LDC too.
Absolutely.
Mission trips and, even during this COVID thing, some of the food distribution and helping people who are out of job and all that. So we appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing about that. So now, somebody's watching now and it's like, wow, look at these people. They are accomplished when it comes to their professions, both of you. And it looks as if they've been able to translate that into living a purposeful life. So they are not living meaningless lives, right? So somebody is there and the person is struggling between career purpose. It's one of those things we discussed in the Leading Lights training, that your career is not necessarily your purpose, but your career it could be your purpose, or it could provide like a leeway into it. What can you say to such a person Ayo, you can go first.
Yeah, one of, there's an article I read, and we tend to ask children, what do you want to be when you grow up, right? And in my home, it was like, you're going to be a lawyer, you're going to be a doctor, you're going to be an engineer, or something in the healthcare space. But instead of asking children what they want to be when they grow up, let's start asking them what kind of impact you want to make. And impact can look differently depending on where you are, right? You can make impact in corporate America. You can make impact by volunteering.
I don't cut you off, but that is a very good one. So people listening, don't ask the kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? Ask them, what impact do you want to make? I'm going to start applying that with my kids. What impact do you want to make? Then, continue.
Yeah, so and it could play out in different ways, right? Impact is not limited to your career. You could do things by volunteering. I was talking with someone who's actually a medical doctor, and she was kind of thinking like, is this what I really want to do? But then she's a very caring person. And I think that's why she went into the medical field, because she's very caring. She likes helping people. And so it took her a moment to kind of reflect and think about like why she chose the profession that she did. And she's not limited. I think she's actually in a good opportunity because she makes a lot of money to potentially use those resources to make impact in a different type of way. And so I think that would be it. Just focus on impact, and it could look differently depending on where you are regionally, career, professionally, etc.
So don't put yourself into a box. If you focus on impact, it doesn't matter if you're a doctor, if you're a pastor. For example, as a pastor, I find myself doing things that are, that are not in the pastoral, rule. Like if you pigeonhole it into pastoral, I have to step out and be a business person. I have to step out. Like now, I'm trying to be, Anderson Cooper, or something. So, but if you focus on impact, right, then you can have enough leeway to actually be able to move from whatever you are doing, or just work with what you have to actually start fulfilling the purpose while you are on there. That's very profound. Thank you. Mobola, what do you say to that?
So I guess the first thing I would advise anybody that's like, what do I do, is start, what do I like doing? Because this is a very long road. It's, I already put it, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. You will be discouraged. So you have to really like that, I love healthcare, so even though I have challenges, I'm like, I like this. So what do you really like? And then the second thing I would say, what resources could help you? How can you learn more? So something like the Leading Lights program, I learned about administration, I learned about collaboration, I learned about teamwork, so how do you build yourself? So apart from spiritual growth, you also need personal growth, you also need career growth. So one, what do you like? Two, how can I get experience? How can I get some teaching on this? Because you gotta have that education. And then number three, just go for it. I started just really little. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And you will realize people want to help. And that took me a while to understand. People really do want to help you. So just get started. You don't need any grand idea to start. What you start with may not be what you end with, but if you don't start something, you have no product. So just get started and start today.
Very good. So do you both, feel, I know it's, fulfillment is a lifelong thing, right? We're always, but, I just want to know, do you feel you are on the path of your purpose? Do you both feel that way?
100%. I turned 40 this year, and one of my brothers challenged me to write like my Wikipedia page. So what will people say about you? How do you want to be remembered? And I'm definitely doing that. And I would say in the process, there's been, I think there's been moments where I've been discouraged, where I've been let down, but I think ultimately it's helping me actually get to my purpose, right? I pray like, God, the doors that you want closed, shut them. The doors that you want open them. And so I 100% believe that God is taking me to where he wants me to be by closing some doors and allowing me to walk in my purpose.
Awesome. Mobola.
So the turning point was when I read the scripture that true religion is helping widows and orphans. So I was like, okay, we go to church, we pray. But I mean, if scripture is saying your true worship is helping, widows and orphans, what are we doing?
That's in James chapter 1 or 2 or so, yeah.
1 or 27. You would think I would know it, right? But yeah, I think it's James 1:27. Yeah, and so when I realized that, I was like, this is what I want to do, because like Aya said, how do I want to be remembered? Fine, I'm a doctor, but that's what I do. That's not who I am. And so it came from a place that, what is true religion? How do I fulfill that scripture? How do I go outside, my comfort zone? So that's actually that's what gets me going.
You said, go ahead, Aya.
No, I was just going to add, and one thing that I remember vividly from Leading Lights is, a lot of times I thought my, the work that I was doing in church was who I am as a Christian. But then you talked about how, in all aspects of your life, how are you giving glory to God? And you gave an example of a football player at the end of winning the Super Bowl. Like that's his story, that's his purpose, and that's how he's recognizing God in the work that he's doing. And it was just a really great reminder that we can be Christ representers anywhere, right? It's not just in church. And so even though the IGLF Foundation is not necessarily a Christian organization, I 100% use it as a platform to share my story, which includes Christ and what he's done in my life.
Yeah, so the question I ask people is, what does Christian mean? So we right now we put Christian, we call people Christian before the demonstration. But when the word Christian was first used in Acts of the Apostles, they saw some people doing something and they said, that was in Antioch. These people, then they called them a name, Christian. It was actually a derogatory name. It wasn't like they were pride. They were like, it's those people that behave like that Christ. That's, Jesus guy, Christ. That's who they are. But you see that they were doing something before they were called Christian. So I tell people, I say, who is a politician? You don't come and call me a politician except you have seen me do politics. Who is a statistician? If I can't do statistics, don't call me a statistician. You can't call me a mathematician if I don't know any maths. So who is a Christian? A Christian is somebody who does Christ. Not somebody who just talks about Christ or who sings about Christ or, has, that they sit down and they talk about Christ and they hear sermons about Christ and all that. A Christian is somebody who does Christ, just like a mathematician is somebody who does mathematics. It's somebody who does Christ. So I have said that, and I say it in Leading Lights training, that sometimes we can see some Christians really that are doing Christ, that some of them are not as biblically, educated as some people that we call Christians, because they are actually doing the work. And what is the work of Christ? What is the work of Christ? That's what you were talking about when he was talking about true religion in James 1:27. Christ, what was his work? In Acts chapter 10, verse 38, how God anointed Jesus of Nazareth with the Holy Spirit and power, who went about doing good and healing all those who are oppressed of the devil, for God was with him. So basically it came and it was a light and it was doing good. So he was doing kingdom work, and that's what makes him, that's what made him, that's Christ. He was anointed for that. And that's what a true Christian is. A true Christian is somebody who find out, who have a relationship with God, and they find out the end, the reason for that relationship. Like, what does God want to do in this world through me? And if they find out their purpose and they start living it out, that's a person who is, a Christian, who is allowing the Christ life to shine through them. So that's exactly what you guys, were talking about. So let's push this a little bit further. So corporate world versus what you were doing. What are some of the challenges and, combining all that, and how have you guys been able to resolve that? How will you speak to somebody who is at that point right now? It's like, I think I'm going to take this Leading Lights training. And by the way, if you want to take the Leading Lights training, you're watching, we have an open house, the first virtual open house Leading Lights training. We're calling it the Taste of Leading Light, the discovery module of the Leading Light. We're offering it for free this Saturday, May 23rd. Go to openhouse.leadinglight.org theleadinglight.org, openhouse.theleadinglight.org. I think they'll post it in the chat. Openhouse.theleadinglight.org. There's a form there. Fill it. We have some people that have already filled it, but we still have, we have some space for more people. It's a virtual thing. So go fill it and then we'll get in touch with you. So I was saying, so how will you speak to somebody like that is thinking, okay, now I know I went for career, I got educated, I did all that, but right now I'm at that point where I'm feeling like there's something more about my life. There's something more about my life. You guys have been able to transition into that, into what you are doing right now. Even though you are doing your career, you are doing that, you have moved into transcendence, so most people, like I know you guys probably know about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, so basically the needs of human beings, the pyramid of needs. So you first of all start with, physical needs, physiological needs, safety needs. Most people are going after, they want to be safe. Then you move on to things like relationship needs, belonging needs. Then you now move on to self-realization, self-expression. And then you now move to, significant, then transcendence. Transcendence is when you now begin to live and you have gone beyond, you are now living beyond yourself. And you are living beyond your own feelings. You are living beyond your own convenience. You are living beyond just yourself. Your life is now touching somebody. So from your own journey, what will you say to somebody who is at that point right now? And it's like, I really want to step into this. Any one of you can go first as you are led.
So I would say just start. So I started this in residency, right? Even taking the Leading Lights training, it took me 3 years because I had to have 3 off days. And as a resident, man, those off days, you just sleep in. You just want to get your energy. So it took me 3, it was just 3 years to get it done. But you have to start, just start. Again, it doesn't have to be grandiose. You don't have to have a plan, just start. How am I combining this? It is a lot of time, I won't lie, but it's, if it's 10 minutes, you want to work on it every day. If it's 30 minutes once a week, it doesn't have to be big. Just start and you get there. And I don't know how Pastor Lan is saying, I've reached that level. Listen, I am not at that level. I am at the very bottom, just praying to God to uplift this foundation. So don't mind Pastor Lan. I am not there yet.
But you are at least, you have crossed to a point where you have meaning for your life. Do you get what I'm saying? And you take joy in that. That's a lot of people are not even there. They're still confused. Like, oh, this and this and this and that. All of us we still go through a measure of confusion as we move on about the next level. But at least we know that this is the direction that our lives want to be built on, right? And another interesting thing, the Leading Lights training, your names, somehow for some reason your purpose shows up in your name. If I remember correctly, the M in your name is like medical or medicine or something.
Yes, that was a very fun activity. And so what we do, for everybody who doesn't know, what we do in Leading Lights is you try to match your name to your purpose. And that was really interesting because when you see that list, you're like, oh, I identify X, Y, and Z. So it was really eye-opening. And in that, in the Leading Lights sessions, you also try to develop a mission. And what I developed in Leading Lights is actually what I use for my mission now. And so it's been incredible.
Man, Ayo, so what can you speak to this?
Yeah, I would say, if you're passionate about something, even though you have a full workload in your day job, you find the energy and the time to do it. And that was my case, waking up early in some cases, staying up late in others. I knew what the end goal was, and I was willing to create the time to make it happen. And again, another lesson from Leading Lights, right? Start with the end goal in mind. And this came from Pastor Land, what do you need to do every month? What do you need to do every day? What do you need to do every hour, right? To accomplish that goal in 6 months or a year. And so breaking it down into, easier steps might make it more manageable to comprehend, as opposed to like one big goal and just trying to figure out a whole bunch of things at one time. And so if you're truly passionate about what you're doing, just make time. It's not necessarily always going to be easy, but it's definitely worth it.
Thank you. I know you both are not lawyers, but there was a reason why you chose the foundation. You chose a foundation. I know some people are interested in how do you start a foundation? What is a foundation? Why did you choose a foundation? You guys can speak to that. Anyone can go.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I talked to my accountant and he's the one that recommended this route. I was already doing work anyway, and why not start a foundation to help build it and grow the credibility that I needed. So.
Okay. Mobola?
So to be honest, I just Googled.
It works, it works.
I just Googled. I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. And then I found out and so to register it, at least in Illinois, it's very easy. You don't need anybody's help. Just go to the Illinois State Department of, I forget, the same website you get your driver's license.
Drive, Illinois.
Yes, it takes like 15 minutes.
States. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. But then what I found out from my accountant was having a foundation does not necessarily translate to nonprofits 501c3 status.
Yep.
So that's another thing you want to file for. So you file for your foundation organization, and then you also file for the nonprofit aspect of it.
Yeah, so that you can receive tax deductibles, so donations and be recognized, and all that. So I know, so still talking about this foundation thing, so people know how they can do it. We want to start a foundation, right? I know you spoke about starting with your personal finances. I think it was Ayo that was saying it, that you started this thing, you funded the first year before people, started joining you. Can you talk about the financial journey of starting a nonprofit or an initiative like this from your own perspective?
Yeah, so first thing I did consult with my accountant. I know my strengths and I know what I have time for and capacity for, and doing all of that legalese is not something I would commit to, and so I outsourced it. And again, it's an investment in the business, and so he took care of everything from getting the foundation set up to getting our tax exempt forms as well as our 501c3 certification. I paid for it, but it was worth the time because I know if I quantify how much time it would take me to do something like that, it was worth what I was going to pay him. And then there's a lot of marketing and profession. And so, creating logos, getting a website, and, starting putting events in place to really just start to create the brand and who we are and what we represent in the community that we live in. First event, again, paid for a majority of the cost. We did charge a fee, so then that offset some of the costs. But the reality is you have to be willing to invest some of your personal finances to get started. I would say maybe in most cases. I mean, there's some cases where you have initial buy-in. The other component is we now have a board of directors. And so it's not just me looking for ways to grow and support the organization, but having a diverse board that really helps bring unique perspective and become brand ambassadors of the foundation, which has been really, really helpful, not only from like a branding standpoint, but also as we think about where we want to be and sustainability and strategic initiatives as well.
Very good. Thank you. Mambola?
So I agree with a lot of what Aya said. So initially, I believe on Cyber Illinois, it was either like $100 or $150. So I'm like, this is the sacrifice you make to apply for the nonprofit status with Illinois. I think it's about $400. To pay my accountant was $500, and it's a very tedious process. So I was like, with $100, that can save me like days of filing. Again, this was from my personal money. I'm like, this is an investment that I have to make. To become a nonprofit, you do need a board of directors. And so I reached out to my friends. Again, a lot of people want to help, they just don't know how to start. And so three of my colleagues from different backgrounds, I have somebody in IT, I have somebody in engineering with business administration and management, and then I have somebody in medicine that can help contribute to the medical aspect. And so in terms of funding, my goal was to, again, try to bring people together that want to help. And so I host a lot of crowdfunding events. When I tell you I am shy, so all the things you see me post on Facebook, on Instagram, Listen, I am so shy. So I want to thank everybody. I want to thank everybody that supported and donated. God bless you. God really bless you. So thank you.
I know what you mean by, so I am shy too. Most people they don't believe it that I'm shy. You're shaking your head. I am shy. I am an introvert. And then I don't like asking people for money. I detest it. I don't like asking people for money. But something I learned along the way was that, you know what? If I want to ask people for money for something that is not for me, it's not for me, and it's to bless people, and I'm going to put my own money in there, that I could be bold. So I began to develop boldness in that area. Now I'm not shy in asking people for money. For myself, I'm still shy. I would never ask anybody for anything for myself. But if it is to ask for somebody else, all shyness is removed. And I just go. So I think that's what helped me with fundraising. That I just removed myself from the equation. There are people who are going to bless. There are people who are going to be blessed by this. The people who are giving are also going to be blessed. So I'm just a conduit in there. So my shyness or whatever, I'll let it go away. I think that will help anybody that is watching. Also, in the Leading Lights training, if you guys remember, we talked about the pillars of fundraising. The pillars of fundraising, like how do you raise money for your mission, for your initiatives and all that. I'm sure you guys are using some of those pillars right now, or you can, step it up. We talked about number one, that prayer is number one, faith. Has been let's just talk about it one by one. We have a few more minutes in this thing, but I think we could do that. So the faith aspect, how has your faith played a role in this journey of getting resources for this foundation? Then I will talk about the other 3 pillars. Yes, let's talk about faith first.
So, Pastor, now let me confess. I don't remember this part of the training. So after this talk, I'm going to go get my booklet. So I don't know.
So the faith aspect is that you always have to trust God for whatever He has called you to do. So you have to pray and ask God. So how have you done that?
It's really, I think what has helped me is seeing the results. And I'm like, God, you did X, Y, Z, and so the times that I'm discouraged, I'm like, why? God did X, Y, Z, so why are you discouraged? He hasn't changed. And so I think and even when things don't happen, I'm like, that doesn't change who He is. And even it's just for my own personal life, the different obstacles I've overcome and how God came through, so when things don't work out the way I want them to, I'm like, listen, I'm doing this for God. So if He doesn't want to come through, that's all good, because this is His work. And so I think that's what keeps me going, when, like you said, taking yourself out of the equation and knowing that you're just a conduit and this is God's work. And if He doesn't do it through me, His work will still get done. So this is not me at all.
And that's faith. Mm-hmm. That's what faith is. Faith is, depending on God, like going for the invisible, the impossible, when your entire dependence on God. Like if it turns out, somebody said faith is like jumping from the top of a mountain, knowing that when you get down, knowing that there's no water there, but that when you get down there, God will have provided the water for you to land on. That's the definition of faith. So, and that's the journey of walking in purpose. You will have to take some steps that everybody will think you are crazy. They will say, this crazy person. But then by the time you land, the water will be there waiting for you. Yeah. So Ayo, what's your own faith journey?
I think in this journey, I think Mobala, what you said about this is God's work. Like, there's moments where I have to remind myself, like, this is not about you. This is bigger than you. And so I constantly am reminding myself, like, if this is the vision, if this is what God is telling you, He will provide. Yes, there will be setbacks. Yes, there will be times where you get discouraged. But again, this is bigger than you. And I think that's just, a reminder that I have to tell myself, and keeps me going, keeps me motivated to keep going. Also, just getting feedback from people. now that we're all in COVID-19 and safe at home, I have time to, we do Zoom calls with my family every other day, like my parents and my brothers, which probably would have never happened if it wasn't for COVID-19. And so just being able to share more about what we're doing through the foundation, being, I don't know if it's like the ideas are being validated, but just knowing like they believe in what I'm doing, they see the impact. It's really inspiring. So I think a combination of reminding myself that it's not me, just hearing and seeing the impact from individuals that are related to me and not, it keeps me going.
Awesome, thank you. And then the second pillar is communication. So I said it in the training that out of sight is out of mind for a lot of people. Generally, there will be some individuals that they will have you in their heart and they remember that, oh, Ayo is doing the foundation. Let me send something to somebody foundation, or Momola is doing something and they will send it to you. But most people, if they don't see it, they have forgotten. That's it. Out of sight is out of mind. And that's why you will see that one of the things you have to do if you are leading anything or you started anything around your mission or initiative is that you have to communicate to people. You have to have a group of people that you communicate to and tell them, this is what we are doing, this, this is what we accomplished and all that. And then you'll be surprised that when I do that, so I use pictures a lot, I use videos, sometimes I go overboard on it, but people don't know what's behind it because I know out of sight is out of mind. So somebody just gets something and then it will generate something and then that might sustain for some time. So how is your communication journey regarding your initiative? Both of you.
Social media is a full-time job. I'm a marketer, right? So I have a little bit more insight into what we do in like the professional world and how I can translate it into the foundation. So we have social media, we have an email list. And so we try to send out emails at least monthly with some of the updates that we're doing. I think both of you mentioned how you don't like asking for money. That's me as well. But also recognizing, to your point, out of sight, out of mind. And so even in my mind, it might be like I'm bothering someone, but it's if I was in their shoes, it's more like a reminder, like, hey, don't forget about me. So try to communicate and stay top of mind in different ways, just so we keep getting the message out there of the work that we're doing. And also another thing, especially, we talk about this in corporate America, like women don't like bragging about themselves and the work that they're doing. I'm learning to do a lot more of that, right? If something is successful, it's not necessarily bragging, but here's some of the wins that we had and sharing that as well.
Yeah, that's very true. Apart from that, even Christians generally, there's this scripture in Matthew chapter 6 that if I had to explain to some pastors, recently, and I saw that those pastors now, they've changed their social media, where Jesus said, when you do your harm, don't tell anybody, don't let anybody know, let it be in secret, and your Father in heaven will reward you openly. So a lot of people just took that and they just think that they didn't look at the context. Like Jesus was talking about the intention of the other. If your intention is to boast so that people can say, yeah, you're doing good, and they say, yay, then it is wrong. You understand? Because he also talked about prayer in public. He wasn't saying you can't pray in public, but he said if you are praying in public to be seen of men, to be seen of men. So the intention is what he was talking about. So a lot of people, they are doing stuff, especially in the church, so they keep it quiet and they don't keep criticizing the church. They'll criticize the church. I don't know. The church, they're only collecting money. They're not even doing anything and all that. And I know all these pastors and what they are doing underneath, how they are supporting people. I said, you better start showing it. You better start telling people, communicating it so that you can generate goodwill. Jesus said, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works. In the same chapter, the chapter before that, or is it the same? The chapter before that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. So the key is you want the glory to go to God, but you must let men see what you are doing. If you are distributing food as a foundation, better let people see it, because that's the way they are going to send money to you to distribute more. If you hide it, I say only my reward will be in heaven. You might not have enough resources to do. So, Momola, what's your own communication journey, with your nonprofit?
Thanks, Arya, for talking about an email list. I don't have an email list now, so I'm going to make one and be bothering people. So it was really by word of mouth. So for example, the ultrasound thing, I talk to my emergency colleagues because, I know that that's like up and coming now in ER world. So word of mouth to my colleagues. I am now like getting more on social media. Listen, like she said, it's a full-time job. I'm like, I don't have time for this. I cannot come up for work. I'll be on Facebook, I'll be on Instagram. But listen, that's what the world is going through. I have to adapt to change. And then I also like email people individually. And then my board of directors, God bless them, they also reach out to their network. So really social networking, emailing, and word of mouth.
Very good. And that's the third pillar that you are talking about. We call the third pillar friends raising. Now, a lot of nonprofits, they want to do fundraising, but fundraising is hard. You don't have friends, So I prefer to focus on friends raising than fundraising. And I've discovered that if I have become friends with people, like I've created a network, a tribe, and so on. When it's time for fundraising, the funds will come out because they trust me, they know me, and all that. So funds come out faster that way than if you don't raise friends. You just say, okay, we're doing this fund and this project, and then people don't get results. So we talk about raising friends. And part of how you raise friends, for those who are watching, part of how you raise friends is you will identify some people that you want to invest, in them. You contact them. You start having conversations and all that. Not necessarily about your own nonprofit or whatever, just to build relationships. And then you continue building that. Then somewhere along the line, your dreams will start coming in. So when you pull out a project and say, this is what I need to do right now, they call this in the long tail, they need like 1,000 people, just 1,000 people to make any idea go viral. So you are building that tribe. Then when you just release it out, you just see the funds coming. But people go the other way. They start doing fundraising and people are tired of them. So how have you guys been raising friends? How have you been raising friends for your foundations?
How have I been raising friends? That's a good question. Because the 2,500 we used for COVID-8 were from all my friends. And even some of them, I hadn't talked to them since college. And that really touched my heart. Mm-hmm. So how am I raising friends? I don't know that I have a strategy. I'm not sure. But I think that if you have a track record, if you deem yourself somebody that can be trusted, if you deem yourself somebody that will help others, if you've established that track record, I think people will be more likely to help you. And like you said, you need evidence, so I make a newsletter at the end of the year. I'm not going to be able to do a monthly thing like Ayo does. I know it just will not work. But I try to post the videos and pictures on my foundation page because people need to be able to trust you. So again, I don't have a strategy, but I think just maybe be nice to people.
That's a strategy.
And they can give you money.
Strategy that you are using, but it's organic. So even your high school, whatever, the reason why? Because you friended them on Facebook or they friended you, you accepted. So they are seeing what you're doing. Once in a while, you say happy birthday to this one or whatever over the years. That's part of friends raising. You understand? So just everybody that is watching, listen, for anything that God has called you to do, rather than focusing on money, focus on people. I keep saying it. I said, the greatest investment that you can make is in people because number one, they are appreciating investments. So people appreciate, they get better. Number two, people are mobile investment. People move from place to place. You can invest in somebody here right now. The next time you meet the person is in Australia. And as at that point that you need something in Australia, so people are mobile. They are mobile investment. They are appreciating investment. And then there's a third one. People are also, let me try and remember. So they are mobile, meaning they move. They appreciate, meaning they grow. Then they multiply. People are also multiplying investment. Then there's no other investment. In those days, the only investment that had those characteristics were animals, like livestock and all that. But now, real estate doesn't do that. Real estate can appreciate, but it's not mobile. And it doesn't multiply itself. Do you get what I'm saying? Stocks, the stocks can multiply, right? But it's not mobile. It's not necessarily mobile, and so you get what I'm saying? But only human beings are like that. So that's your biggest investment. So I tell people, raise people, don't raise funds. Raise friends, don't raise funds. Like, focus on people. Remember people's birthdays, wedding anniversaries. Do it genuinely, not as a manipulation. Just be a good person generally to people. Be there for them in their times, seasons of life. And you'll be surprised that they'll be there for you in your mission and in your calling, in your seasons of life. So that's one of the keys. I wanted to say something.
Yeah, I was just going to add that I was actually just having a conversation. I have a friend who's in the nonprofit space, and I just bounce ideas back and forth. And one of the things that we were talking about yesterday is, how can I support the board, right? They're supporting me. How can I support them? And at the end of the day, I think what I recognize about myself is I'm a connector, right? So if we have this community of individuals, of people that are all purpose driven, how can I connect people so that I can help them accomplish their goals like they're supporting me? And again, it's not just trying to do something out of, to see what I can get, but truly just being in a place where I want to see you succeed. I want to see you win. We should all be, walking in our purpose and doing what God has called us to do.
Very good. Thank you. So we have just 2 more pillars. So we've talked about 3 out of the 5. So the next pillar is what you started to talk about, is generosity. Any organization, any individual that wants to have other people support you, you must first of all support other people. You have to be a generous organization. So meaning that part of the pipeline of your own income or resources must be going to other organizations, smaller ones, bigger one, it doesn't matter. You are supporting other people's causes, because that's a principle, we talked about it in the Leading Light, the law of reciprocity. The fact that give and it will be given back to you. What you mirror out, it will be mirrored back to you. What you make happen for others, God will make happen for you. If I said the motto of my life, which I adopted as in my early 20s, is, if you can help as many people get what they want in life, you will get all you want in life. So ever since that philosophy sank into me, what I focus on when I meet people is, what can I do for them? Like, how can I help you be who you need to be? And I've discovered that in doing that, I am becoming who I want to be. So generosity is essential. That's why in anything that we do, like, we receive funds. All the organizations that I lead, we receive funds. Funds have to flow out. Apart from the funds that we use for delivering services, right? As a non-profit, delivering services to people, which is still an outflow, right? We separate funds that we just give to other organizations for them to deliver their own services too. So generosity. I preached a message this last Sunday on generosity. I preached 2 Corinthians chapter 8 and chapter 9, which was a discourse on generosity. 16 principles of generosity. Very powerful. It should be on my YouTube channel, or City Light YouTube channel, for those who want to listen to it. So can you talk about your, generosity when it comes to your foundation quickly, and then we'll talk about the last one, and then we'll round up the broadcast.
I would say first, I'm definitely, after this, I'm definitely going to go back and look at my notes from 2017, because there's so much that I probably need a refresher on as well. But generosity, like this COVID-19, so because our mission is to empower women and girls, they just had a Giving Tuesday Now campaign. I don't know if I necessarily remembered this from Leading Lights, but it was just something that I felt called to do. And so we raised funds. Half of the funds will go to our programs for girls over the summer, which we're now making virtual. And then the other half went to supporting local women's shelters that focus on domestic violence, just because we know that data is showing that there's an increase in domestic violence cases because everyone's at home. And so, in order to support our mission and, try to make an impact for those that needed it, the support, that's what we did.
Awesome. And that's generosity. And just, you continue that flow, you are setting the law into motion. It's a law of God into motion, that when you are doing that, somebody will have to do it for you. I say it this way, I say a pipe that is delivering water can never complain of thirst. A pipe that is delivering water can never complain of thirst. That's Proverbs 11:25. In my own word, Proverbs 11:25 says, "He that water shall be watered also himself." the liberal soul will be made fat, and he that waters will be watered also himself. So I've discovered that I don't need to focus on how I get watered. If I can just find places to keep watering, the water will continue to flow. But if I block it, and just try to hurt, like in the parable of the talent, that guy that went to hide it, that's when I lose what I have. So, Mobola, so how are you processing generosity?
So even though my one of the goals is to further healthcare and resource limited settings, charity begins at home, so I can't see I'm helping somebody in Africa or in Guatemala when there are people that need help here. So like you mentioned, sometimes we partner with the LDC, but we also partner with SOS Illinois. And it's a wonderful facility that helps like with foster children and placement and activities. And so we do that as well. And the current project in Nigeria was actually given to grassroots organizations that needed funding for their own projects, So even though I'm like, I don't know what your project is, as long as it's COVID related and there's data. So really just helping them just kind of push forward, because a lot of the guys in Nigeria, they were volunteering that time, going from place to place, going to the market to buy food items. And if you've lived in Nigeria before, it's pretty rough, So I was like, how can I help these people? And the whole scholarship thing with UAB, even though it's very, very, very small, that part is my own money. And I needed to do that because people did that for me to go to college. And I remember what that was. So that is my own part. And like, I need to help somebody. So even though it's tiny, that was a personal goal that I wanted to achieve. So this is not foundation money. This is not anything. This is my thank you to God for giving me that opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you. And then the last pillar is products and services. The last pillar of raising finances is products and services. So if you want to raise money, you apply all the other ones, but you can also create things that you can sell. You can create products that you can sell. You can create services that you can sell. That's why at the Life Development Center, part of our services is the Leading Lights training, which people pay for. Even though we give scholarships to a whole lot of people, especially when we go to do it in Africa, it's basically scholarship. We pay for the whole thing, but in the US, people do pay for it. We have other materials, my books, that I write, and all those things. They are products. So every nonprofit can do that. Everybody, you can create products, even if your life for yourself too. You can raise funds for yourself by creating products in line with your purpose. Are you guys thinking about that, of products and services to complete the pillars?
We are, right? And Pastor Lan, you and I spoke earlier this week about some of our long-term plans, but definitely something that's been top of mind, especially as we continue to grow and have a sustainable organization that's not just here for a couple of years or during my lifetime, but something that will live beyond me. So something that we are focusing on, just not there yet.
Yeah, cool, very good. Mobola?
Definitely not even close. Not even close to being there. But it's something my board and I have talked about. So we're planning a gala next year, God willing. And we're like, what can we come up with? What can we give? Like making, I'm shy. Like,
let me give you an idea, because it's usually very simple. So for example, right now you have, you are touching people in Africa and all. So there are stories around that. How about just compiling the stories of some people who have been impacted, right? Into, it doesn't have to be, it could just be an ebook or article or whatever, just something that is on your website and all that. You might not charge for it and all that, but it can help you generate donations. People read it, you send it by email. So that's how it starts. Usually products can start with what you write. Sometimes some of the things you are speaking, they are products. What you have been doing on Instagram is products. Do you understand? They are products. You are talking, you are giving something to people, you understand? So you could break it up like you've been doing and just be doing something regular, series, that you just come up, record it. If you are shy, record it in your room. when you're satisfied, you post it up. You understand? That's also products, services and all that. So when you start doing that, you get to a point where you can actually, once people see the value in what you do, that anytime she comes and speaks for just 5 minutes, I get something. That's when, you start moving into things like, get into the Dr. Mobola's inner circle, Dr. Mobola inner circle, and it is just $10.99. I'm telling you, people are doing this stuff. My wife is on a coaching network, by one, is a British lady, who, she helps women and all that, and they pay into it. I like, this lady, I need to see what this lady is doing. You have a lot of ladies, thousands of them, they pay monthly just to listen to her chat. And she's a Nigerian, a British, Nigerian British, Nigerian, in English, I don't know how you say it. She's from Nigeria. Her parents are from Nigeria, so she was born in Britain. So she does this thing very good. She writes book, and then she gets women just to talk to women and all that, and they pay. But she had to build it up, So I mean, I like to tell people possibilities. You get what I'm saying? All these things are possible if we go for it. So. All right, so those are the pillars of fundraising. We're going to round up with the last thing. What do you guys have on your mind as we're closing this? What would you like to say to somebody who is watching? Anything that is on your mind that you'd like to say that I've not covered, just go ahead. A message to those who are watching.
Okay, I can go. So first of all, for everybody that listened, you just got a free 1 hour session of Leading Lights. Because this is exactly the training. So thank you, Pastor Lan, for refreshing, since I also forgot that aspect. So I appreciate that. My message is what I've said: start somewhere, start small. Even though you have a big vision, just start where you are and just trust God to meet you there. Pretty much.
Thank you. Ayo.
Yeah, I would strongly, if you haven't taken Leading Lights, strongly encourage you to take it and participate in it. It's truly a life-changing experience. And like Pastor Lam mentioned on Saturday, I think you'll have a little bit more of a glimpse into some of the offerings that come out of that. And we're all created for more than just to like get up, go to work, come home, eat dinner, right? We have purpose, we can make impact. But the first start is to recognize what it is that you're passionate about and how that leads you to your purpose. So there's so much more, and this class helps you figure out what that is.
Thank you. So I want to thank you both for your time. It's been an engaging, interesting conversation. I really enjoyed it. I want to thank those who are joining us. Again, the Leading Lights, Taste of Leading Lights will be taking place this Saturday from 12 noon to 2 p.m. CST. Go to openhouse.theleadinglights.org. A small form in there. Put your name or information in there, and our team will reach out to you so that you can be a part of that. Tomorrow, we're going to be coming back with another Lights 360 chat, the second series, which is State of the Nations. So we're going to be having people from some multi-nations, having this discussion together. So it's going to be a fun time. So I look forward to seeing all of you again. So with that, we're going to sign off. Let's say bye-bye. Oh, you want to say something? Yes, go ahead.
So I'm going to put a plug for my social media. So
yes, that's true. Yes, I'd like both of you to do that. Yes, please. Mm-hmm.
So for the foundation, we're on Facebook, MK Foundation 7. We're also on Instagram and Twitter, the same handle, MK Foundation 7. And my personal Instagram and Twitter is Mobolzi MD. So like Pastor Lance said, I give nuggets, everything emergency care. I've been doing a lot of teaching on COVID. So follow and like Mobolzi MD, MK Foundation 7.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, people will see it on the flyer that we came in. They will see the address of the foundation on Facebook and on Instagram. And in the post, you will see our personal profile there that you can just click and start following her. I mean, I get blessed by what she puts out. So please, go follow her. Ayo, you want to talk about how people can reach you? You guys are getting it, the pillars of, friends raising. Friends raising.
Yes, Ajila, Ajilla. We are on Instagram, Facebook. We have a website if you want to opt into our newsletter, and we're also on LinkedIn. So Ajilla Foundation on all of those channels. And I look forward to connecting with many of you.
And thank you. And I want to thank the Life Development Center team who put this together and who are working, behind the scene right now. Also, please follow the Life Development Center on Facebook or Instagram at the Life Development Center. Follow us, or the lifedevelopmentcenter.org. That's our website. So just get in touch with us, and we will see you again. Bye-bye.